Hello, my name is Austin Majors. This is the discussion for Module 2, Section 1. I'll go ahead and jump right in. So, one of the pieces that was brought up in the white privilege essay was this idea that we might not even necessarily be aware of maybe the causes of our own thoughts and ideas and experiences sometimes. And to illustrate that, there's a quote where most of our white students in the U.S. think that racism doesn't affect them because they are not people of color. They do not see whiteness as a racial identity. So white students don't see their own race as a racial identity. It is their race, and they don't see it. It's like a fish not knowing it's in water until maybe it's out of water. It's what a professor used as an analogy about culture one time. But I think that creates a dilemma, right? It creates a dilemma that it's hard to talk through differences, especially ethical differences that we have with each other, if we can't even fully understand what's causing our own thought processes, right? In this case, having white privilege, for example, we're not necessarily conscious of that, so it creates an ethical dilemma for discussion of even understanding our own perspectives. And that kind of leads me into why I selected the artifact I selected for this discussion. And what I chose was a quote from the Harry Potter series and by J.K. Rowling, in particular the Deathly Hallows book. Instead of giving you too much backstory, I'll just go ahead and give the line before, which Harry asked Dumbledore if the situation, the experience that they're having. He says, is it real, or is it all just in my head? And here's my quote, here's my artifact. Dumbledore replies, "Of course it is happening inside your head, Harry, but why on earth should that mean that it is not real?" And the reason I chose that, besides being a ridiculously avid Harry Potter fan and sometimes nerd, right? Besides that, it actually really lined up well with what we were talking about. In the text, the example I used, we were unaware of what was going on in our own head or in our own lives and these social constructs that we are not even aware of. And I think that creates a real ethical dilemma, and I think that what we have to do is use part of, in one of the other texts, standpoint theory. There's a lot of, I think, common phrases that we typically use that show why this is important, like, walk a mile in someone else's shoes and think about it from their perspective. And it's these common phrases and terms that we use because we understand that that's important, and that's really illustrated in the text. Diversity in dialogue, commonalities and differences between friends, and like I said, in particular, the standpoint theory. And one quote shows, "Unless Jim and Wallace discover each other's standpoint, each will misinterpret the other, and both will be disappointed in the friendship." So unlike in the other text where individuals were unaware of their own, in this case, privileges, this text is saying that if we don't understand the other person, that we will fail and we will both be unhappy with the situation, in particular when facing differences like ethical differences. So how does this all fit into my own personal ethical philosophy on how I think we should act? I think we need to be more metacognitive. We need to be more aware of our own metacognition, or thinking about thinking. We need to be more aware of the processes and the way in which we think to help inform ourselves and why we made those decisions, and then also to be more aware of maybe some alternatives on why other people are thinking the way that they are thinking, instead of just having our knee-jerk reaction and our automatic response to, oh, well, I'm taking their actions, interpreting it through my own lens, and that's why we're arriving at the dilemma, instead of really trying to look at it through their own lens. And how that's illustrated in the text, to back up this point, it says, in each case, the misunderstanding and hurt arise out of, friends, judgments about differences, not the differences themselves. So the ethical dilemmas, the ethical differences, the miscommunications came from our own judgments about the differences in the choices that the individuals were making, not about the differences themselves. So, again, feeding back to my ethical philosophy, slow down, analyze our own thought patterns and processes, and then really try and look through the lens of the other person who is hopefully doing the same thing and trying to understand it from their perspective. Thank you.